Hi, one person. Give it a minute. I gotta wait for this to start. Hi, one person. Showed my towel. I keep for sweat, snot, spit. My body fluid towel. Give it a few minutes, or not a few minutes, but whatever. For the 5 of you so far that are here, what I intend to do is play 3 Benny Geritano tapes. Let me back up. Hold on. I'm going to say this again. So there are some viewers that are new to the channel or that don't know who Benny Geritano is. I just said this in my last live. Benny Geritano is a guy from New York, born and raised in New York. Ties to the 5 families. Matter of fact, family members involved in the 5 families. And things went south with the 5 families and Benny, to put it lightly. He is now currently in federal prison. He's in federal prison actually for threatening his attorney through the mail. Not the smartest thing to do. And usually people with mental health issues do stuff like that. But we all have mental health issues, don't we? I mean, really. But anyway, Benny was pissed because he felt like he got sold out by attorneys who sympathize with members of the mafia and cops. Okay? I guess that's the best way to put it. But he did his time for a stabbing that occurred at a bar, nightclub, whatever. And he talks about those players in these recordings. If you don't know anything about Benny and this is your first time, I am going to play 3 tape recorded conversations. It's between him and I. So he's in prison. He calls me. I use the phone, record him, and try to get these recordings out. In the past, I've been having problems because of my lack of equipment, shoddy equipment, shitty equipment, whatever. Well, I got a Bluetooth speaker, a cheap one, but it works pretty good. It has been. I haven't done it live yet. I tried it in a little recording on my laptop, a little tin canny, but you can hear Benny. For all the people that have been saying I can't hear the tapes, they're bad, you can hear them now, okay? So I'm going to go back. There's 3 total, a new one nobody's heard as of yet. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to play, the 16th of July. And I'll go from there. It's about 45 minutes, it's about 42 minutes of recordings. And what I think I'm going to do, and I know that the people that just want to hear Benny want me to shut up probably. I am going to probably pause it and say a few things in the middle of it. We'll see. We'll see where it goes, okay? Is my sound good? Let's see. Pause it and say okay, it is. So that's good. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, it is. That's good. I'm listening for the fan in the background. I'm listening for the fan. Okay, so it's not. I got it on low speed. It's real humid down here and hot, and I've been saying this. I have one little air conditioner in the window. One of those. It's actually not a swamp cooler. I thought it was, but anyway, and I just like cool off the back area because the house central heating and air would cost too much money. But I've just been leaving it this way. Although I will say it might be getting too hot for that because every time I leave the room, it's like it's too hot. Anyway, I'll go ahead. Yeah, it's not the New York crowd is the people that are really, really into this, mainly. And most of them are asleep. But and if I was doing the right thing here, I should have done it like 6 o'clock this afternoon. But I've just have too much other shit going on. All right. So let me go ahead and read a couple things real quick, just to pause and try to get a couple more people in here. And we'll go from there. Eugene, what's up, bro? Okay. Wizard. Uh-oh. Wizard. Greg Parrish. Uh-oh, wait a minute. What up, Rob? Just in a hospital bed in Brockton. Had a tumor in bladder. Oh shit. Okay, so it's on the screen. Okay, tumor in bladder, right leg due to my drug use in the past. Okay, Greg. So yes, I remember. Okay, so had a tumor in the bladder. What was the wait? Tumor in the bladder, got an infection, and it went to fake hips. Now might lose use of the right leg. What do you mean due to your drug use in the past, Greg? Explain that for me, okay? I'm not doubting. I'm just saying, explain that part for me, okay? Hope. What's up, Rob? F off. This guy knows Benny. He did time with me and Benny, so he knows Benny. So these are entertaining to him for sure. Hopefully, Benny gets out soon and decides to make a change. Maybe move out of New York. He wants to move to Arkansas. No, like, and I'm being serious. I'm not saying here. He met somebody in New York State that was from Arkansas. Um, Arkansas. What did I just do? I just pushed a freaking button. No, why do I? Okay, hold on. There it is. Okay. Yeah, and the guy spit out a lot of stuff about Arkansas to him. I keep saying this and stretch out my little boy's shirt. Actually, I was going to say my moobs are getting bigger, but they're actually not. But anyway, I want to say Arkansas is one of the best kept secrets, but if I keep saying that, it's not a secret anymore. Arkansas, for don't judge this place on what I'm showing you. Oh, you guys, I thought it went up too, by the way. You know what I did tonight? Is it up? Yes, it is. Hold on real quick. There's a short. I got let me see, it's seconds. I caught a cat. What do you mean it's not granted? If the owner it's on private. Um I was out in the mountain areas tonight and I'm driving and there's a calf. Actually, there's a little bull. And I videotaped it, and it says calf in the middle of nowhere on the road. What should I do? I think that's what I put it. Yeah. And um, the person, hundreds of acres, hundreds of head of cow, goats, a lot of things, and it was in the middle of the road. The bad part about it was right when you come up over a hill, and you'll see if you guys go see the short afterwards. Um, it's like a minute and 30 seconds long. I just was talking and filming the little bull. Right after that was done, somebody came by. I asked him whose it was. This person didn't know. Here comes somebody on a side by side, a couple, young couple, and with a kid. They knew, went and got the person, but it was starting to get away. So I did what I did 2 weeks ago to the Mustang. I wrestled it down. I wish I had a videotape of it. You know how they say cow tipping? There's a little, you'll see when it's walking, it's on a little ditch, and it was starting to run from me. And I should have been a cowboy. Okay. I should have been a cowboy for sure. That's what I should play in this video. Actually, it doesn't show me wrestling it, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, lots of exciting things in Arkansas. I didn't have to worry about um, smelling people's farts because it's so crowded and gun violent. Well, there's gun violence, but you have to worry about cattle and deer in the road, stuff like that. All right, so let's see. Okay, I got a few. All right, let me do this real quick and then I'll get. But what? Hold on, Rob. Shit. People are scared to death of Benny. Hey, Wizard. He brings this up. You're in a hospital bed over what you sent me a email about. So 2 people are in a hospital bed right now. I'm glad I have sick people watching me. What's that say about this channel? You got to be sick to watch it. Me and my strupette. Right on, bro. I told you I would. It's fucking late. Right on. Okay. And when you use drugs, intravenous infections happen when you have metal. Oh, I got it. I had an infection years ago, and it went to the bladder. And prostate removed in April. Ooh. So, Greg, I've got reoccurring bladder cancer, 24 reoccurrences right now. To date, and it'll keep coming back. Um, so well, but you had your prostate removed. I haven't. Is it? Are they saying cancers? Well, actually, now with the prostate, it really wouldn't matter if they removed the bladder and had a bag. By the way, if it ever gets to that point, let me tell you something. I know plenty of guys with bags. There's different options, and you know, the thing that I was always worried about was losing my prostate, or there is a nerve in there, and when they take the bladder out, that you lose sexual function and all that stuff. Not that was like my big hang up. I think if my prostate was out, it wouldn't be that big of a. You know what I'm saying? So just don't. If your prostate's already been removed, I think don't worry about that. And if they start talking bladder cancer, it's all about if it goes into the wall. Remember that the muscle in the wall. Um, yeah, or you can ask if you ever needed to know anything about that. Yes, it's on the internet. Yes, you can tell. Yes, you can ask doctors, but it's different when you're actually talking to somebody. Right on, Wizard. Does Chinese doctor Ebeth and boss did a washer for the infection, put a new antibiotic spacer, and came to me after and wanted to take it out and leave my leg. Jesus Christ, Rob, your phone situation. Like after I'm done, why don't you call? You got nothing else to do? I can't believe they still got him locked up. Yeah, Greg. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. God, I hope this all works out fine. I'll look like a moron again if it doesn't. Let me turn this recording off real quick just in case. Uh, I might have to revise that and say 2 recordings. What happened to the other one? There was 3. The first one, no, I can get bits and pieces of it later. Okay, but here we go. Here we go. And let me do this one more time. Okay, let's see if this works. Where the recording go? Okay, so the reason that I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation that I am is because you and I have had multiple. Okay, so the reason that I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation. I think this is good. All right. Conversations where these rats on the street that don't want to see me home and that love rats and their mom, their kids, and they call you and say, Benny's guilty, and Benny did this, and Benny did that, and Benny did this. And you know what? Nothing that they say is substantiated. Constitutional. He wrote 81 pages of. He wrote 81 pages of. I know what it is. Hold on. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Now watch this. You know what it is? It's because my microphone's hooked up Bluetooth and it's called the speakers. But let's see this. Let me try it. Sorry.
So the reason I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation that I have is because you and I have had multiple conversations where. So the reason I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation that I have because you and I have had multiple conversations where. So the reason I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation.
Damn it. You guys. Okay. I'm going to start again. Let me see if I. Okay. Okay. Now, let me try again. I'm going to start right now. See if it worked.
These rats on the street that don't want to see me home and that love rats and their mob ass kids, they call you and say, Benny's guilty and Benny did this. On the street that don't want to see me home and that love rats and their mob ass kids, they call you and say,
It's not as good as it was with the. It's not as good as it was with the other. Damn man, but we're gonna have to do it. What a shit show.
okay, so the reason that I'm calling you and I'm going to send you the documentation that I have is because you and I have had multiple conversations where these rats on the street that don't want to see me home and that love rats and their mob ass kids, they call you and say, Benny's guilty and Benny did this and Benny did that and Benny did this. And you know what? Nothing that they say is substantiated by fact or evidence or anything. It's just hate and jealousy and hate. So what I did was I wrote 81 pages of facts pertaining to this case from the very beginning, from the moment of inception. 81 pages I hand wrote, substantiated by constitutional law, statutory law, regulatory case law, and in addendum to it, I'm attaching 47 exhibits. 47 exhibits that the prosecutors and my attorneys withheld from me during the courses of these court proceedings in the state case and the federal parole violation for the state case for Stephen Nunzio Fusco. These exhibits are counterfeit documentation from local law enforcement divisions such as U.S. Probation and the New York Police Department. I have discovery that was withheld from me for 11 and a half years, such as a warrant. I was arrested, taken into custody illegally at the Office of U.S. Probation under on this counterfeit warrant, under the guise or the geese, however you want to pronounce it, that I was being taken into custody by federal probation officers. So there are no transcripts in any of the court or state or federal court proceedings that mention this warrant. I'm actually sending you a copy of the probation officer's violation of supervised release report. Never even mentions the warrant. The warrant's not mentioned in any of the federal probation hearing proceedings. The attorneys, while they were supposed to be defending my rights, they were facilitating for the prosecutors. So what went on here, Rob, and we're going to prove it to your viewers and everyone else in the world, right, with documentary evidence, conclusive documentary evidence, is that the New York State prosecutors and federal prosecutors, they suborned the perjury that was put forth in the accusatory instruments. They concealed, tampered with physical evidence drawn up by prosecutors. Tampered with physical evidence is a felony. When prosecutors or officers of the law falsify official business records, that's a felony. When they tamper with it in New York State, it becomes a felony. I was discriminated against in the practice of law. You see, a very rich, wealthy Jew by the name of Harry Shasho was identified for this crime twice. Harry Shasho, as we know, has contracts with local law enforcement divisions. People have been saying for years he's an informant for the local authorities and district attorney's office. Well, you know what? I really, I had to take the blinders off on a lot of this stuff, and so everybody else can take the blinders off too. Right here you are. You have a man who was identified for the stabbing twice by the eyewitness. You have a man who was identified as taking part in the attack on him from the victim. You have the man who was identified in a video from a New York City police lieutenant sending police officers on a wild goose chase, telling them that the perpetrator of the crime ran down the street. This same individual is accused by prosecutors in their sworn affirmations on the penalty of perjury to the local court that this man broke into the club and stole the DVR system with the recordings of the fight and the discs on it. This man was never charged for a crime. Everything that I just told you that he committed, that they claim he committed, is a felony. Never charged for a crime, never put in a photo array, never put in a lineup. Here I am, I'm an individual who was never pointed out for the crime, never accused of committing the crime, yet they got my attorneys to help them prosecute me. Now, I don't know if it was all done because of having Shashow's value to these local law enforcement.
Do you have proof of that? Do you have proof of that?
Oh yeah, everything I'm going to show you is proof. Okay, everything I'm going to show you.
Okay, I want to stop here for just a second.
Yeah, everything I'm going to show you is proof. Okay, everything I'm going to show you.
Okay, I just had to make sure. Harry Sasho, whatever your name is, the views of Benny are not the views of this channel. And that goes for Mr. Mad Dog as well, Mr. Stevie Mad Dog, who I know his attorney. We got off on the wrong foot because of Mr. Mad Dog, due to Benny. But I have respect for Matthew Mary, who is Mr. Mad Dog's attorney. I don't disagree with a lot of the stuff Benny says, but of course I'm not from New York and I have no intimate knowledge of these guys. I know these guys, not these specific ones, but the mob guys from prison, okay? Benny Geritano, with what he's actually saying and putting out, when it comes to the law, is absolutely correct on so much stuff that you hear here and on the other tapes, okay? You can see some people would say, ate up with this. He's very passionate about it. I kind of, when I listen to him sometimes and talk to him, I kind of get a smile or giggle, whatever you want to say. It reminds me of jailhouse lawyers in prison. Benny spent a lot of time in law libraries, you can tell. Lawyers, real lawyers on the street, absolutely cannot stand jailhouse lawyers, most of them. One of the reasons is he talks about a lot of technical stuff. They didn't have this, they didn't have that. Most lawyers don't care. Most lawyers will tell you, like you've been watching too much TV or you've been in the law library too much, because they don't actually go through, file the motions, and do all the legwork. Even good lawyers that bring people to trial, the lawyers that actually challenge every single speck of the record are usually high-profile attorneys for high-profile cases, okay? And sidebar, just want to add here, when it comes to the federal system, get a federal defender or a public federal defender, what it's called federal defenders, unless you're a multi-millionaire and have a huge case, because it doesn't matter if they're going after gazillions of dollars and you're not going to go to trial. At the end of the day, a public defender is really good. That has nothing to do with Benny. But anyway, let me get back on track. I'll probably stop it here again at a few other points. But to guys that have not done a long time in prison or that are not familiar with law library stuff or who never worked on their own cases, they might seem like, oh man, this guy's reaching and stuff. Yes, he's passionate about it. But he's not wrong when it comes to issues of the law and this case. Okay. I asked him about Harry being an informant. This sounds funny. Harry being an informant. Do you have proof? He says he does. I don't know what kind of proof it is, but if he does, I've got something else to say. If he does present proof, forget that. Going back to when Benny first started being on this show, if he's putting out allegations saying this person was a rat, this person did this, and they're mobbed up or mob affiliated, are they just blowing it off because it's Benny? Why wouldn't you want to do a deep dive on the people he's talking about? Sorry, Mr. Mad Dog. Why wouldn't you really look? Let's say that you hated Benny Geritano. That's actually the problem. If you don't like somebody, they're easy to discredit. Look at our politics. Look at our political system. For example, Democrats, you get anything that Trump says, they have Trump derangement syndrome, okay? You bring up that Obama might have started the Russian collusion. A lot of Democrats aren't buying it or don't care because of their hatred for Trump. Meanwhile, the rule of law, right and wrong, makes no difference because they don't like the person. Robert Rosso, founder of Convict Inc. Boy, he sure says some things that make sense, but he's such an idiot. He's so anti-mob. He's a liar. He's a junkie. He's strung out on drugs. You can't believe nothing this guy says. It's the same type of idea. If they don't like Benny, the New York people, why would they not steal if you're still in that life and you're organized crime? You mean to tell me they're not actually looking into what he says? It wouldn't be very difficult to put the pieces together on the stuff that he says. And let me go ahead and say this too. I was with Benny when he first came to prison, Lewisburg, with Tommy Reynolds. He was on the phone all of the time, putting together deals, moving and shaking. Legal and maybe some illegal, not over the phone, but whatever. Moving and shaking. He would get on the phone and I would hear him. I can hear him at times when I was down there, or he would talk about, we're talking deals. He did these real estate deals. We're talking in the millions, few million here. And at first I didn't believe him. Hell, there were several of us that didn't. Not Tommy. Tommy never had much to say at Reynolds. But me and my bro Dusty, for example, we liked him. We just thought he was like inflating numbers and stuff like that. He did a real estate deal where he was owed X amount of dollars, $500,000 each, $1 million here, $2 million. He was owed a lot of money. The dude was ecstatic and happy when it went through. Felt like everybody's going to do the right thing. He gets out. The guys that he was owed money to go to mob guys. And this is where this all started from. So let us assume, for example, that Benny was owed. I don't think anybody's ever disputed that, by the way, okay? He's owed millions of dollars. And a mob guy, Stevie Mad Dog, he says, and others, go to, I don't know if it was just Steve, whatever, Stevie Mad Dog's in there somewhere. I think I just like saying the name. Sounds funny. I guess he's an old guy too. Benny will talk about him coming up in other recordings, says he's a mental midget and a moron or something like that. He looks like he has Down syndrome, something, you'll see. I don't know him. His attorney said he had an impeccable reputation when he called me screaming at me one time. But why? Okay, but Benny had a legitimate deal. Mob guys go and, according to Benny, work to get him locked up. And he talks about this in the next tape. Because they couldn't stop him, because he didn't fear him, they used law enforcement. And you know what I truly think? This is what I truly think. And again, talking about an outsider here, just some junkie bum, okay? I think when it comes down to it, the New York guys don't care. I think that the mob guys don't even really care. I think in their hearts they know a lot of them are rats. And I think that a lot of them don't care because they too are or would be rats. Not just the mob, all organizations, criminal organizations, okay? Otherwise, I believe in the real mafia days, not saying that they're not any real mob families. I do know some outside of New York. I know something that's thriving right now that nobody else talks about, but whatever. I don't think people would have tolerated that. I think, let's just say this was happening in the 70s or 80s and we were able to get recordings and stuff. I think all hell would break loose. Different different people today. You don't want to go accuse the boss of this or that, you know? And maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's a little strange to me. We'll see the kind of proof he puts out. If this guy, Harry Sasho, if there's any real documentation on him, he's an associate, I guess, is nobody going to care? And I'm not talking about unliving somebody. I'm just saying you can't hang around with us no more. Okay? Just want to make that clear too. All right, let's go back to Benny. Nobody wants to hear Robert.
So I'm sending you 47 exhibits, court transcripts.
Okay.
The police officer testified that the eyewitness, Fusco's girlfriend, then now wife, pointed the guy out in the white shirt. The New York City police lieutenant said the guy in the white shirt, who is identified as Harry Sasho, misinformed them, gave them misinformation. Go down the street that way. That's where the guy ran. Broke into the club, according to the prosecutors, and stole the crime scene evidence. This man was never put in a photo array, never put in a lineup, never charged with anything. I was never, ever identified for anything. Listen, the video clip that they show, that people see in the New York Post, with me in the vestibule, do you know what that portion of the tape depicts? It depicts me possibly committing 2 misdemeanor crimes: criminal possession of a weapon in the 4th degree and menacing in the 3rd degree. Okay? Now, that's without mens rea. I mean, that's of course if there was mens rea or actus rea.
Yeah.
But if you play that video in slow motion, and Harry has that video, you will see me getting pushed into that video by Nunzio Fusco's girlfriend's friend, Tamara Lee. So therefore, if I'm not charging into the vestibule like
This call is from a federal prison.
they claimed in their case from the very beginning, if I'm not charging in the vestibule to stab the man, that means I didn't have the mens rea to commit a crime. That means I didn't commit. There's no actus rea. So you have to know that you have intent to commit a crime in order for you to commit a crime. If someone pushes you into an area, they can't say, "Oh, you committed a crime." So my attorneys would never mention these things. And at the time, I was going through a lot of personal stuff on the street. I mean, they're not turning over any discovery. They're not giving me any documentation. You got this rat Stevie Mandor creating internal problems in my family through my brother and my mother and never a moment's peace. You can't think. Your attorney did not give you the grand jury. I found out that they had a 3rd grand jury witness testify. Now, they don't want to release the grand jury testimony to me.
I'm sorry, I have to butt in here real quick. Grand jury testimonies, they usually do not do that. And I was actually, I didn't think about it. He hasn't called me back anyway. I was going to call somebody, one of my friends who's did 33 years in prison, has got over 200 people out of prison during that time, and now works at a law firm. Since he's worked in that law firm, I think they got 12 lifers out in a year. Doing really good. He's 60, and he's a legal beagle. He used to dream of being a lawyer when he was getting out. He's on paper. That's why he can't get his law license. But anyway, they don't usually allow grand jury testimony, but I don't know in what case that they would release it. So that's one issue. He's talking about that. It's a problem to get. Okay, just wanted to throw that in there.
They're doing is they're hiding perjured testimony from the grand jury. Now, that could be either the parole officer, it could be either the prosecutor who falsified the felony complaint, the district attorney. It could be somebody from the Kings County Warrants Division, which is Harry Sasho's friends, the people that came to parole to arrest me with the detective on the counterfeit warrant. I mean, there is law here that these people violated. You understand? In United States versus Mendenhall, the courts make a test to determine if a seizure was done illegally. The United States Fourth Amendment, the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause unless it's supported by oath and affirmation. I have a letter from the United States District Court saying that there is no warrant affidavit on this case. So if there's no warrant affidavit on the case, how'd you obtain the warrant? Who applied for the warrant? Where did the warrant come from? Well, it's an old warrant from the stabbing in 2011 when I had the incident with the pizza guy. They re-stamped it, and they utilized that to take me into custody illegally and to prosecute. They violated my rights under the Fourth Amendment. Not only under the Fourth Amendment, the New York State Constitution, Article 1, Section 12. Every state has their own individual to you, Rob. Go ahead. Nowhere in the Constitution or in the Declaration of Independence, or for that matter in the Federalist or in any other writing of the Founding Fathers, can one find a single utterance that could justify a decision by an openly holding servant of the law to look the other way when confronted with the real possibility of being complicit in the wrongful use of false evidence to secure a conviction in a court of law. And that's what they did in my case, pal. But that's what they did in my case. And I'm going to tell all your readers this, too. There was a judge who used to hold court in New York State. His name was Honorable Judge Full. In People versus Donovan, he said the worst criminal, the most culpable individual is as much entitled to the benefit of the rule of law as the most blameless member of society. And to disregard violation or the rule because there is proof in the record to persuade us of a defendant's guilt will endanger the rights of those who are innocent. In the record, in this case, there is no proof of my guilt. No one says I committed the crime. No one said they seen me commit the crime. No one said they seen a knife in my hand at the time of the stabbing inside the crime, at the bar when the crime was committed by Harry Shasho, because that's who Cindy Mustafa, Lindsay O'Fosco's wife, identified. Harry Shasho. She told the police, he's the guy who stabbed my boyfriend. Harry wrote a statement. Harry said in his statement that in Cindy Mustafa's excited utterance, which I break down the rule of law on an excited utterance in the paperwork that I'm sending to you, okay, that this individual woman told the police that this man stabbed her boyfriend at the time, who's now her husband. And the police knew Harry. They didn't put him in handcuffs. They patted him down. They let him go. He had no knife. He had no nothing. 5 days later, there was a lineup, a photo array. The girl identified him again at the photo array on the 28th, 5 days after the incident. The police officer told her, I'm not taking a statement from you. How can a New York City detective who is being given a positive description of an assailant, a culprit of a crime, tell an eyewitness to the crime, I'm not taking your statement? You're not taking your statement because you don't want a statement identifying an informant that is valuable to you people. You don't want that statement. So what you want to do is you want to put that statement to the side. We're not going to take the statement from this woman.
This call is from a federal prison.
And we're going to accuse the guy who's standing next to him. The guy who's the convicted felon on federal parole. The guy who once had ties to these douchebag organized crime individuals. And that's the reason why. Because when they mention organized crime, it creates a media frenzy. Yeah. In my case, if you look at the media, if you look at all the stuff, I had a prosecutor who had the media fetish. Okay? This woman wanted to have her name in every fucking newspaper that she could have. And this lady has no problem breaking the law, suborning perjury, using false information, destroying, exculpating evidence in favor of the accused. And not just in my case, I've met other individuals during the course of these prosecutions who this woman prosecuted. And it's just ironic. Every time my name is mentioned, there's some type of evidence being destroyed, marshaled, altered. It's amazing. So I'm not going to stop at nothing, and I'm going to tell you why. I have nothing to lose. The time is already served on the sentence. Yep. There's nothing to lose. They can't turn around and say, well, he's trying to get out of jail. Nothing to lose. But let me tell you what I do have to gain. I will have a violent felony conviction removed from my record and my rap sheet. One that was obtained illegally and in violation of the rule of law. And according to Judge Full, even the most culpable individual, I'm not the most culpable. Prior to these false arrests and these malicious prosecutions that I've been in prison on for the last 13 years, the New York State Supreme Court deemed me a non-violent predicate offender. You have guys out there who chopping people up, raping people, molesting children. They're getting home, but half the time that I'm home. Half the time that they gave me. I'm not the most culpable individual, and yet they denied me the rule of law. And I'm entitled to it, Rob. I'm entitled to it, and I'm tired of people saying, oh, but he was convicted, and he was this. With the representation that I had, because my attorneys were facilitating for the prosecutors, they could have accused me of being Joseph Stalin, and I would have been found guilty. Yeah. Nobody. My attorneys put up no adversarial test to these prosecutors. They called no witnesses. You know who my attorney called? My attorney called the police officer. When he called the police officer, he didn't call.
That's not me, by the way. This is when it gets, there's different parts of the next call, too, that do this.
Yeah, the police officer on the complaint that was utilized to bring this case into court. It's called a felony complaint in the state of New York. The felony complaint says that Mr. Fusco told his opponent, who was the detective, that I stabbed him. When Mr. Fusco testified, he said, I don't even know who stabbed him. detective testified. He goes, no one ever said that, man. He said,
It's bad.
right? So, but you know what? My attorney never fucking pulled out the paper because he never turned it over to me. I didn't know that until 7 years later.
Well, listen, your phone's getting really, really bad and static. Bad.
I know. We have this problem in this facility. This morning, I brought it to A.W. Fernandez's attention. I told boss when we're on the phone with our families and our relatives, people we speak to, they can hardly hear us. But I want you guys to know that the viewers of convictinc.com, there's 81 pages of handwritten documentation sworn to under the penalty of perjury. I'm swearing to everything under the penalty of perjury and the exhibits. These exhibits are the records and case files of the King County DA's office, the Supreme Court, and the District Attorney's office. I want nothing in return. You know what I want from you people? Contact the governor of the state of New York. Contact the Attorney General. Contact the wrongful conviction. Tell them to give me a hearing in the court or to give me a pardon. This wrongful conviction must be vacated. And I'm not going to stop until it gets vacated. Or I won't stop until they get disbarred.
Well, I'll put everything you send me, all the paperwork, I'll make sure it's posted and all that stuff, you know? I mean, I've got you there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going on lockdown, and I'll call you when we get out. I don't know when we'll get in. We're going on lockdown. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Make sure your viewers see all this stuff. And let me tell you, everything I said is being sworn to.
Okay. All right. So what is this little notice I'm getting based on my usage, my headphones? What? I don't even know what this means. Oh, what am I doing? Today? 22nd. Oh, it's the, okay. What am I doing? What am I doing? All cloud. Oh, shoot. Today. Okay, hold on one sec. Real quick, I wanted to say, yeah, right. No, and I was just kind of saying, you said there's a guy in Philly who's real, and I get it. I'm not saying that there's not people that aren't real, whether it be in mob life, whatever life. I'm just saying that it's way, way off balance nowadays, and I say it over and over again, but it's true. That's the stats on drug offenses. It's like 7.6 people will tell. You know what I mean? Drug offenders I'm talking about. Yeah, those are like government stats that I read. That's been some years ago. Let me put that up. Yeah, put that up for you. Okay, Wizard Roy, I'm going to get to you right now. You know what, Roy? I can say this, and I've said it. I personally, maybe let me. Okay, right now, right this second, I personally can't think of Philly guys who are so bad, so to speak. I haven't met a whole bunch. Like I said, the first one was Stampa. I don't know how you feel about him or whatever. If you're referring to the guy on YouTube, and like I said, as far as I think they call him Georgie Boy, Borghese or whatever, dude, that guy, I mean, we didn't spend that much time together. Awesome guy, for real. Yeah, okay. The mob failed when they let mob informants walk. When there's no fear of ratting, people will eat as much honey as they can. Then when they get caught, rat, and face no. You're right. You're right. And again, Rob, that goes back to my point that even in this case with Benny and these guys he's putting out there, it's because of their dislike for him. It's because of his blatant disrespect for the mob that anything he says will be deemed not credible by people in that life. Or if they are thinking it's credible, they're going to shut up because of whatever. So I realize now something. Okay, let me see. So call 7 days, call recording. Okay, Wednesday, that's the one we're going to get. Hold on just a second, just in case. I don't want something stupid to come out. That I said, okay? And not about this, about something else. Okay, so well, Okay, hold on one second. So here's what happened. So the day he calls, I got the dates on him, right? So I put him in a different category on the notes category on an iPhone. So what happened was when I did the notes thing, that they're all saying today's date. Okay, so that's all. So bear with me one second. Hold on, I gotta find this one category. Sorry. Okay. Ha! Hold on. Now I think I've got it. Hold on.
They said that they were watching it at Steve Mad Dog Social Club.
At TV Mango Social Club?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell them the TV Mango probably got the club wired to town for the set. You know? But so check this out.
Go into whatever you go ahead, right? Go in whatever you want to say now. Go for it.
Alright, so first of all I want to apologize to everybody for the static on this phone. It just happens to be the facility they got me in. They don't really care about fixing names. This place is terrible. But this is what I want people to know. People want to say, oh, this guy's guilty, this guy's that, this guy's a convicted felon, this guy's this. We live in America. And in America, we have what they call the Constitution. The Constitution is supposed to protect people, whether they're guilty or they're innocent. The Constitution is supposed to protect our rights. And every right that I had was violated. And it was violated for numerous reasons. It was violated to protect the guilty. It was violated because organized crime victims got to my attorneys and had my attorneys tell me out. This is what they do. This is what they do. They get the people's attorneys and they make people's attorneys sell them out when these people are not in accordance with their wants and likes and rules and regulations. So when you have state courts and federal courts prosecuting people on falsified information, tampered with physical evidence, where these prosecutors and law enforcement officers who are oath beholding servants of the law, breaking the law to put innocent people in prison, and you can't even get a fair hearing in court or an attorney to represent you, in accordance with the Sixth Amendment right to the United States Constitution for the effective assistance of counsel. I mean, you're talking about they're jeopardizing the rules of law that this country is founded upon. that this country that stands upon, that each and every single taxpaying American in this United States country.
Real quick, I'm going to answer you, Greg, on some of these. I'm going to go back to what's on the screen first, okay? But let's go through.
And it's it's territories such as Puerto Rico and Guam and so on and so forth, the U.S. Virgin Islands. We're talking about you're allowing these people to trample on our rights. So whether people want to say, oh, I'm a convicted felon and I committed crimes in the past, I served my debt to society for that. You know, I'm in jail for threatening my attorney. One of the attorneys who did this, I'm in federal prison for that.
By the way, this is the prison phone that's making the noise, not this, not my stellar equipment or whatever.
You don't see me mentioning that on the show. You don't see, I wrote the letter. I told the lawyer when I set you up in the shoot you, right? You sold me out. I had a heart attack over it. You know, I lost everything I was working on in my life.
That was hilarious, by the way. So he did write the letter and he did say it, but just to hear him say it is pretty damn funny.
Like Stevie Biko trying to line me up to get set up to go to jail. He's got people calling my parole officer, the Steele family. You got people trying to rob me and set me up for extortion cases when I'm trying to collect money that they legitimately owe me for deals and contracts that we made legitimately. So here I am. I made legit. I'm not entitled to legitimate money because.
Again, I was there when he was doing this. This was over a real estate deal with two brothers. Guys from New York know who and what I'm talking about. This is where this all stems from, right here. Stevie Mad Dog pressed up. Was it Stevie Mad Dog? I think it was Stevie himself who pressed up on Benny. He'll talk about it. Let's go.
The mob says so. The mob, they come to jail. They get slapped, they get abused, they get robbed, they get extorted by blacks, Puerto Ricans, every other nation in the world is forced and abused, but they come to jail. They cut in front. Yeah, talk, Rob. What do you guys say?
No, what I was going to say, Dave, is that this is okay. Listen,
I cut out.
Once upon
Sorry, breaking up. You got to go slow, Rob. I'm sorry.
okay. So a long time ago, not
I don't.
This call is from a federal prison.
Okay, what I said there and what I was saying is, okay, I said basically, how did I put it? Okay, this is how I kind of put it. And I said it and I get it, but I don't. Who's really still afraid of the mob is basically what I was saying. Now, I'm not from New York. I'm not in the same area as them. I've got many threats. I've got many. But after I said that, even look, and I always go back to this. I use 3 instead of two, but 3 lames can come and unalive somebody. 3 lames can put together a plan. Look at school shooters. Look at the Columbine thing. Little weird kids, kind of, right? Or if you believe in conspiracy theories, whatever. But my point is, anybody can flip in the mind and get something done. You know what I'm saying? So I get that mob is still active, and I do want to say here, and I don't say it enough. Back in the day, I mean, you cannot deny the influence that they've had on American culture, elections, a lot of different stuff. Okay. And I really don't know what's going. Well, I know some things. But I really don't know as far as shaking down businesses and all that. If what's still going on and what's not. I do know that when they investigate him for 3 years, they come up with like bookie BS. You know what I mean? And or cases that they're trying to use RICO on. They stretch stuff out. But my point was like, who really cares kind of thing. But again, I'm not from New York. I was just trying to think about how I phrased it. That's probably not right.
What I'm saying is, what kind of power do they actually have now that people fear that?
And I don't know.
I guess the power puts you in prison. I mean, there's 5,000 of them in New York City.
Hey, members of the mafia, To the 5 families in New York, if you can't unalive them, you work with the cops. Is that really what it is? Okay, this is what I do know, because I don't know a lot about that. I know some things, but I don't know a lot about that. I do know that they did help put Benny in prison. And think about that. And you know what? That's probably been happening since the beginning of time. You're here to tell me that the relationships they had with cops on the take, or the cops were shaking them down, that they didn't trade information on their enemies? Come on. That's human nature stuff, you know? But to hear Benny, the way he put it, makes a lot of you guys look like complete fools. It does. I'm sorry, it does. Again, I can care less about the organization. I judge the whole, I don't judge, that's what I need to say. I don't judge the mafia. I always looked at the guys that I met from that life, our thing, in the joint. And Benny talks about it and says it correctly. He uses the N-word here. I apologize to anybody that's offended by it. I was going to try to stop, but I'm not. And I don't care if I get doxxed for it. I mean, if they don't monetize this. By the way, good time. You can donate if you want. No, I didn't just do that.
You got different guys from different families. You got associates. You got bosses. You got captains, right? Every one of them has access to a gun. Not one of them threw a shot at me. Not one of them. Not one of them came with a knife. Not one of them threw a shot at me. You know, I came out of prison. This Stevie Mad Dog's trying to get you killed for beating up Jimmy Ida. Stevie Mad Dog's on there. You know, Stevie Mad Dog.
Benny and Jimmy Ida, underboss, I think he was. I don't know, Genovese, Luque, I forgot now, whatever. Knew Jimmy well, so did Rob. We sit in the TV room with them every day. Was offered 5 years and didn't tell, took his life sentence on the chin. Didn't like Benny, like most of the Italians there, and swung at him with the belt, the weight belt. Benny taxed him in the chin, and was it Mikey? I Love My Wife jumped on him. I think was it Mikey? I think it was Mikey then. Yeah, was it Mikey? It was Mikey. Might have been junked out that day, but hell, you know, Tommy hit him. It was entertaining. It was quick. They went to the hole. I need to add here, and I don't know if I say it. I am partially, if not majority, responsible for getting them all out. That's what I'll say.
What the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? This ain't even out of the couch.
Stevie Mad Dog.
He's a mental fucking moron. What are you talking about? You know?
Back up.
Stevie Mad Dog's on there. You know, Stevie Mad Dog, that looks like he's got Down syndrome. What the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? Not one of them came with a knife. Not one of them threw a shot at me. You know, I came out of prison. This Stevie Mad Dog's trying to get you killed for beating up Jimmy Ida. Stevie Mad Dog's on there. You know, Stevie Mad Dog, that looks like he's got Down syndrome. What the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? This ain't even out of the couch conversation. He's a mental fucking moron. What are you talking about? You know? And so what did they do? They got the Basile family to call my parole officer. I mean, Robert Anton was my parole officer. Used to say anybody out there to contact him. Robert Anton was the Basile family calling, saying Benny was trying to extort you for $2 million. Yeah. Robert Anton told me about. I had to file a lawsuit not to get 20 years. And then the mom made my lawyer drop the lawsuit while I was in Dannemora, serving the 12 years for this fucking statement that Harry Shasho was identified for twice, and I was never identified for once. So this is not about, I didn't do 12 years.
Whether you think Benny is guilty of the crime or not, there was somebody else identified as the assailant. Okay? Talks about there was. There absolutely was. One more time. I got to do this.
Then the mom made my lawyer drop the lawsuit while I was taking contact with Robert Anton was the Basile family calling, saying Benny was trying to find. What are you talking about? This Stevie Mad Dog's trying to get you killed for beating up Jimmy Ida. Stevie Mad Dog's on there. You know, Stevie Mad Dog, that looks like he's got Down syndrome. What the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? I'm sorry. He's a mental fucking moron. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mad Dog, and I don't know you, but I got it one more time. Last time.
You know, Mad Dog's trying to get you killed for beating up Jimmy Ida. Mad Dog's on there. You know, see me, Mad Dog. That looks like he's got mental. What the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? He's even having an intelligent conversation. He's a mental fucking moron. What are you talking about? You know? And so what did they do? They got the Batiste family to call my parole officer. I mean, Robert Anton was my parole officer. Anybody out there can contact him. Robert Anton was the Batiste family calling, saying that he was trying to extort you for $2 million. Yeah. Robert Anton told me about I had to file a lawsuit not to get 20 years. And then the mom made my lawyer drop the lawsuit while I was in Dannemora, serving the 12 years for this fucking statement that Harry Shasho was identified for twice, and I was never.
That's a really good point, by the way. I know people are getting pissed off at me doing this, but they will tomorrow. Is that what the mob's been reduced to? Calling probation officers like Jimmy Klander did to me when I was, and a bunch of other people? So he's saying bad things about me. We got to put him back in prison. Oh, he should have never been let out. I don't know. I'm not part of that life or that information. Question: has the mob been reduced to working with law enforcement? I don't know. I'm just asking.
So this is not about. I didn't do 12 years to San Bernardino Fusco. I did 12 years because the mob couldn't back me down and tell me I couldn't collect my money from the people who owed me legitimate money.
Stop. What say you, members of Cosa Nostra? What say you to that? Why didn't anybody do old mob things to Benny? Why? Why not? Fear? Is it fear? Are you scared of Benny? Put it in my comment section. Somebody just say, yes, we're afraid of him. Just be honest. It's all about honesty, right?
That's just a nutshell, Bill. That's it. San Bernardino Fusco. I did 12 years because the mob couldn't back me down and tell me I couldn't collect my money from the people who owed me legitimate money.
That is so profound.
That's just a nutshell, Bill.
That is so profound.
San Bernardino Fusco. I did 12 years because the mob couldn't back me down and tell me I couldn't collect my money from the people who owed me legitimate money. That's just a nutshell, Bill.
That says it in a nutshell.
This is the reality. Anybody out there in the 5 boroughs who knows what they couldn't back me down. These bitch ass niggas. That's what they are. They're niggas. They're bitch ass niggas. They're Sicilian bitch ass niggas.
The views of the guest don't reflect the views of the show. I just want to put that out there. Okay. I just want to put that out there. I did think about stopping that. I don't think it would have had the same effect. And he's talking in modern day hip hop lingo, not as a racist here. Just want to put that out there.
They are, right? And that's what they call them in prison, big ass things, right? They couldn't back me down. So what they did was, oh, you can't back them down? Call his PO. When I went to the PO, like, oh, okay, hands on the wall. Hands on the wall. That was the situation with the money. That was the situation with the shit. I'm a red dog state warrant. Walking there, you got Harry Shasho's all his friends from the Warren Squad. King County Warren Squad, Debbie Mo's brother's part of the Warren Squad. These are all Harry's friends from this area. They got assault rifles. They got MP5 machine guns. None of this is on the record. They got don't put your hands on the wall. Don't move. I got 19 cops in there. Federal agents, cops, marshals, with fire.
And wait, why did Benny have all those marshals on him? Let's hear it again.
They got assault rifles. They got MP5 machine guns. None of this is on the record. You got Harry Shasho. What they did was, oh, you can't back them down. Call his PO. When I went to the PO, like, oh, okay, hands on the wall. Hands on the wall. That was for the situation with the money. That was the situation with the stabbing. I'm arrested on state warrant. Walking there, you got Harry Shasho's all his friends from the Warren Squad. King County Warren Squad. Debbie Mo's brother's part of the Warren Squad. These are all Harry's friends from this area. They got assault rifles. They got MP5 machine guns. None of this is on the record. They got don't put your hands on the wall. Don't move. I got 19 cops in there. Federal agents, cops, marshals, with firearms in there. Tell me, oh, yo, what's going on? You violated your parole. Right? Yeah, you're being arrested. But parole show me a warrant. I never even knew the warrant existed until 2011. I'm sorry, until 2023. 2023, I'm in the box, the Great Meadows Correctional Facility. I get a package from the King County with a warrant. I almost fainted. What warrant? Listen, my lawyer put in a motion to turn over all Brady material. Warrants included. He said, oh, there's no warrant. Vinny Romano told me there's no warrant. This is the guy who Harry Shasho sent to the police station to represent me at the line. There are constitutional violations here.
He's 100% right. Okay, you're on parole, you can be picked up, I get it. But if the lawyer files Brady material and asks for a warrant and none pops up, but it pops up years later when you file under Freedom of Information or whatever, that's effed up. That does show that the lawyer was in cahoots. Or that the prosecutor was holding back evidence. Both serious violations. And let me say this here right now. It's very easy for people to not care if their rights were violated, if they're known criminals, okay? For example, Steve Correa. Steve Correa is in prison on a BS trumped up charge. Life sentence. Bronx guy. Son Dom does stuff on the internet. Said a few bad things about me a couple months ago, but whatever. People generally just say, well, you were part of that life. You know, you cheat, cops cheat, whatever. The truth is we do have constitutional rights and it's overlooked a lot. And you know who's like the worst about that? Former prisoners. I think I even made a comment one time saying basically Correa lived that life, you know, and now he got framed and he's pissed, whatever. I remember saying that somewhere, I think during a live, and thought about it afterwards. And the reason I think about it is because I see so many prison channels of guys that are, it's okay to be pro-civilian. It's okay to be pro-American. That's actually Constitution stuff, but it's okay to be all that. But a lot of times the worst people are the guys that were used to be incarcerated. I watch channels and these guys just, you know, hope this person gets this in prison and that in prison. They forgot where they were. It's okay to like look back and say, I never want to be that person again. But to think it's all right that your rights get trampled on or that people are put in prison in conditions in America that we really don't need to. I'm not saying that everybody needs a laptop and a fluffy pillow, but it's wrong.
Critical pre-trial proceeding violation. United States versus Wade.
I'll back up.
Vinny Romano told me there's no warrant. This is the guy who Harry Shasho sent to the police station to represent me at the lineup. There are constitutional violations here. Critical pre-trial proceeding violations. United States versus Wade. The United States versus Wade, the Supreme Court said that critical trial proceedings the criminal defendant is entitled to legal representation. You have an NYC detective testifying on the oath that Vinny Romano was present at the lineup and was there when he conducted the lineup. Vinny Romano is a lawyer, sworn to under the penalty of perjury, and his sworn affirmation writes a letter to the judge in the court saying, I only started representing Benny Geritano at the arraignment the following day after the lineup, after the arrest. Somebody committed perjury here. Either way, I was denied my constitutional right to representation at the lineup. And who sent them there? Harry Shasho. Can you imagine?
Harry, did you do that? Harry Sasha, what say you? Did you do that to Benny? And are you an informant? I don't know.
Then you got a fucking clincher. Then you got a 188 proceed. Then you got an arraignment. Then you fake accusatory intimate by the judge.
And your phone's good right now. What are you doing? Your phone's finally
good. This is Hazleton. Your static phone, one time, but this is what goes on here. So this is what I want people in the world to know. I served 12 years for a crime that no one ever said I committed. And the mob got my attorney to sell me out. Now, Harry put the combo fit. So
It's all part of the same thing now, huh?
Teddy Persico. Teddy. Is he the boss or supposed to be up for the boss? I don't know how they do it nowadays. Are they elected? I don't know. But if what Benny's saying is true, your uncle would be very disappointed in you.
so far the same, right? Because what gets me, okay, I've been locked up almost 13 years, right? You know, if you're a boss of a crime family, that means everybody underneath you commits a crime every single day. Kind of like that's what the RICO was created for, right? The McDonald's, the Burger King, the IBM. That means if somebody at the bottom of IBM commits a crime, the boss can be held accountable. 13 years I'm locked up. No bosses are in jail. Nobody's going to jail. Oh, what are these guys doing for a living? They're selling ice cream? All the leaders.
Stop.
Let me rephrase that. You give me
Stop.
10 leaders, the boss can be held accountable. 13 years I'm locked up. No bosses are in jail. Nobody's going to jail. Oh, what are these guys doing for a living? They're selling ice cream? All the leaders. Let me rephrase that. You give me 10 leaders. Nine of them, if not 10 of them, are that. Aaron Tipp, Mike, Dave, Prison. You served 20-something years in the Fed. Yep. Me and Wilbur were just talking about this. Me and Wilbur were here together, 1 year old, dirty white boy brothers were here. We were just talking about this. Wilbur was an hour. Wilbur's been doing time in the Fed since '90, right? Yeah. These guys get robbed, they get abused, they get extorted, they get cheated down. The mob guys. Yeah. Finally extorted. I mean, you know, and then when a man comes along, they want to abuse the man in front of people.
Did you guys hear that? People who get angry at me for telling the truth. That is the actual reputation. Everybody who's a mob fanboy, everybody who is a mob aficionado or a Gotti guru, understand this. He's saying right now that he talked to my old bro Wilbur. I talked to him too. Wilbur is a somebody from the haulers of Tennessee who did 20 years for marijuana. That was like the whole haulers, but he took the rap when he was 18 and now is back for having 3 boxes of pills, and they hit him for being a manufacturer. Never saw an 8-ball of meth in his life. Right? Never. They were talking, and Benny's saying, like Wilbur told me the other day, Rob, you talk about these mob guys? The mob guys, that's the reputation. Honest to God, all BS aside, to people outside of New York who don't do time at Fort Dix, Danbury, Otisville back in the day, all the East Coast soft spots. Soft is good though. The reputation by everybody outside of that is that mob guys are easily extorted, that they, it's true. There will be people that get upset about that who did time on the East Coast with mob guys. They looked at them. Their perception of them in prison was that they were running stuff or whatever. Maybe in those joints, with, you know, whatever. Some of them, again, in general, people outside of that life, that's what people think about them. That's what we're told when we go there. Forget my bald head and junky ass and all that stuff. The normal guys. Rob might back me up here. Total normal. That's the truth. Not all of them. Not all of them. But when they loop them all together and say the mob guys, that's what is said. Really. That's all jokes aside. That's the truth.
So people can say, oh, that guy just abused that guy. I mean, you can't be serious.
Back up.
Get extorted. They get
Back up.
guys. Yep. Me and Wilbur were just talking about this. Me and Wilbur were here together, 1 year old, dirty white boy brothers were here. We were just talking about this. Wilbur was an hour. Wilbur's been doing time in the Fed since '90, right? Yeah. These guys get robbed. They get abused. They get extorted. They get cheated down. The mob guys. Yeah. Finally extorted. I mean, you know, and then when a man comes along, they want to abuse the man in front of people so people can say, oh, that guy just abused that guy. I mean, you can't be serious. What the fuck is going on out there? What is going on with these people? How do people in the real world sit back and get mesmerized when these jerk-offs walk into these places with their big feet, with their nice Rolex, with their talking Mercedes,
there's so many mob fanboys. There's so many people that are just enthralled. It's crazy, man. It's
With
crazy.
their beast aftershave splashed on like Rocky Balboa. I just don't get it. Well, this is what I do. This is what I want the world to know.
No, I want the world to hear
There's
this.
so many people that are just enthralled. It's crazy, man. It's
With
crazy.
their beast aftershave splashed on like Rocky Balboa. I just don't get it. Well, this is
Mikey Sessa. Rob, who did he just describe best? Mikey Sessa. Oh shit. All right.
right. This is what I do. This is what I want the world to know, right? When you have people like this, first of all, the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama,
This call is from a federal prison.
domestic terrorists. He said they're domestic terrorists. If they're domestic terrorists,
Okay.
how come
He's saying that Barack Obama labeled them as a domestic terrorist. I don't know if there's an executive order. I don't know if they're actually labeled. That's what he's saying.
the government is not going after them? According to the mob, I'm not in the mob. According to the mob, they chased me. I have nothing to do with the mob. I retired. I quit. I don't break the rules. Yeah, I broke the rules. I'm a renegade. According to the mob, right? Yeah. So why is the Fed following me with drones? How come they're not following Stevie Mad Dog with drones? How come they're not following all the guys who helped to put me in jail with drones? Why? I didn't say this. Jerry Capizzi said this in January 2011. This came out of FBI Theodore Otto's mouth. They were following me with a drone dispatched from Washington, from Virginia, in Brooklyn. They sent the drone from Virginia to follow me around Brooklyn. How come they're not fucking on these sides around? But let's get back to the more point. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. All I need is one court hearing. This deal Fusco's wife, then girlfriend Cindy Mustafa identified Harvey twice for the crime. A New York City detective is telling an eyewitness to a crime. No, I'm not taking a statement from him. He testified to it in court. Oh, yes, she identified a guy in a white shirt, but I don't want to take a statement. Right? So the last time I spoke to Harry was like 2022. And he's like, oh, I walked into these restaurants, and all these mom guys, they make fun of me. There he goes, the guy in the white shirt. There he goes, the guy in the white shirt. The guy, they find this funny. Every now today, I'm walking every restaurant that they're in, and I'll wear a white shirt. I dare anybody in the five families to point at me and say, there's the guy in the white shirt. If I don't magnum your face off in front of the whole restaurant, my name ain't Becky. How about that? You yellow. I'm walking every restaurant that they're in, and I'll wear a white shirt. I dare anybody in the five families to point at me and say, there's the guy in the white shirt. If I don't magnum your face off in front of the whole restaurant, my name ain't Becky. How about that? You yellow cocksuckers that you got. All you gotta do is make this girl come in, and you make Harry come in and say the truth. He can't get charged with this informer. He works for the NSA. He works for who's he? They wrote an article about him. He did Homeland. He does Homeland. He does all the cars, the DEA, the TNT. He was doing that when I was home. So I said, Harry, are you a fucking rat? Because somebody told me you're a rat. I'm not a rat. You're a rat. You can't come around. You can't hang out with people like that. Got 15 years in prison. In the meantime, the next day, after the statement, John Simone calls me the same day. Harry's sitting in the car. He's telling me everything. The guy in the white shirt. How did it come about that you invite me to a restaurant with my daughter? The owner of the restaurant is supposed to meet me there, and he never shows up. This Fusco kid comes in. They erase that. They erase that on the camera. They erase the standing where the girl identifies Harry on the camera. They erase the positive identification from the girl outside to the police pointing Harry out.
Somebody left me a comment. Somebody left me a comment saying that they know all about that, but you're right.
That I'm right about what?
About them erasing the tape. I think they left me a comment.
The police officer admitted to him. The police lieutenant wrote a complaint on the police officer. He said he destroyed the evidence. And my attorney, the attorney that these fucking mob rats made sell me out, my attorney said, oh, it's okay to give an adverse inference. I said, how's it okay that they give an adverse inference? You're deleting videos surveillance of my actual innocence, but you're telling them we're going to show a court where banging in the vestibule wall looks like a knife in his hand. But they don't say that that's only menacing or possession of a weapon, fourth degree misdemeanor. They're saying that because I'm in the vestibule, that means I'm the one who stabbed him inside. Why would you say that? You know the girl identified Shacho for the stabbing. You know Shacho. You're the one. I have sworn affirmations from the prosecutor that's coming your way, Rob. Sworn affirmations saying that Harry broke into the car and stole the DVR player. How come he's not charged with nothing? All I want is one hearing. I need that to stabbing.
Wow.
You know Shacho. You're the one. I have sworn affirmations from the prosecutor that's coming your way, Rob. Sworn affirmations saying that Harry broke into the car and stole the DVR player. How come he's not charged with nothing?
Hey, Harry. Did you break into the club and steal the tape? Why weren't you charged? Teddy Persico. Your uncle would be very disappointed. Uncle Carmine, the snake.
One is one here. I need to have this felony conviction taken off my case. It was illegally obtained by way of false information and perjured testimony. And somebody testified to the grand jury. It could have been my PO. This has to come off, bro. I'm not going to stop until it comes off.
Oh shit. Is that it? Oh my.
Still, I should go. Okay. Still.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to go back here for a second. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. So, Harry. What are we going to do here, Harry? Benny came up with some really good ideas. You know how people call in? There's like radio stations that call in and they pretended to be like, what was the one in Canada? That was, they pretended to be somebody and got information. So he wants me to do some calls, not pretending. No, because I'm probably going to do this. Okay, I'm sorry. That sucks. I hate when people do that. But the mafia. Yeah, the mafia. Not Philly, 5 families. Just wanted to say that. All right, so let me go down here. Let me see. Oh, okay. We're way. Okay. Good evening. What's up? There's a car. Okay. You're absolutely okay. Here we go. Let's go back. Yeah, I see you, Greg. Doug. I got that. Thank you. Brady violations. Hold on. Okay. Okay, Doug. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. Is Benny doing live? No, Benny's got like 7 years. Okay, let me go back. Hold on. I can do this real quick. And I got to do a couple videos actually after this. Sickening frame. Okay. Oh, Greg, let me go back to this. I never told. Okay, you did the right thing. Why do people who told have any right to talk S about you? So the truth, Greg, is that when I opened up the door and talked about Jimmy Calandra back in the day, that started something. Okay. So it did, and then at different times I can be me and say how I feel, and I'm in a position to where, like you said, I did do the right thing as far as the whole convict thing, criminal thing goes, right? I did. I was really offered 2 years at the end with 13 months in, so like nothing, knowing I was going to get life, whether that's stupid, whatever, okay? That's the truth. So when you do criticize others or blatantly talk smack like I have with a few people, that opens up the door. So I do get it. What is, and I guess I also get this too, but what is wrong, I guess I'm trying to say is this. Just like I said about what's going on in the country as far as politics. For all these years, starting when Trump got elected, you had it. Excuse me. It appears now that we had Barack Obama orchestrating the whole Russian hoax against Trump. It looks like that really did happen, and they can prove it. If you listen to Tulsi Gabbard, she laid out a really good case for it. You'll never get people who hate Trump to believe it or care. That's very important. Or care. Okay? Justified because Trump's bad. It's justified because Barack was good, Trump bad. So it's the same kind of thing across the board. For me, I'm easy for people to discredit or hate because I have talked smack about people, and they come back and they do the same criticism over and over again. You sat at a chomo table, blah, blah, blah. You messed up your marriage. You are a junkie. You're still a junkie. Ah, okay. You just said you relapsed again. Ah, you relapsed never. It's the same story over and over again. So that's how that all goes down, you know. Um, but what Benny's saying and doing right now, man, and I'm going to say that there have been times when, okay, I got that. The mob failed. There have been times when I've thought about this Benny thing because, of course, there are people that, especially if the tapes were right, really like him and listen to him. And it's entertaining. Some people really listen to what he's saying, you know, probably a handful, but you know, he's for sure entertaining, right? Um, yeah. Anyway, well, okay, I'm getting off a little bit. Then he needs to go. Thanks, Wizard. Okay, Roy. When you can't have him a boss role, it's a wrap. Okay, you said it with Joey. Okay, Joe M. What he did too. Benny G is sad. So Joey M. Wizard, what you're saying is kind of what, but it's okay. You don't have to go there. Stanford. Oh, was not a Philly guy. I get it, but he was, Roy. You know what I mean? He was from Sicily, but you know. Okay, wow. Okay. The funny thing is, I didn't even have a real lawyer yet. Right. Okay. In my day, if you didn't have paperwork proving someone is an informant, you keep quiet because I've seen guys accuse others and not be able to prove it and get checked in. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Rob, that we used to have PSIs, and that was like a good thing. You had to show them, right? Greg, do I want to do this right now? Benny talks about him in a different conversation, and it's not favorable. Okay. You're asking why doesn't Benny have Chad Marks help get him out, right? Damn. See, then it's going to become a thing. There's definitely a reason. Okay. There's definitely a reason. Let me think about that for a second. Happened to Todd and Deadeye in the message. Yes, Rob. So you're right. So he's talking about just labeling people as an informant. Right on, Doug. And I appreciate that too the other day. I was listening with you, Rob, the day he told his story, man. Right. R.I.P. Hulk and Ozzy. Yeah. I don't know what happened with Hulk Hogan yet. I don't know nothing about it. I just saw it. And I just shrunk the whole screen down. What did I just do? Okay. Have you ever? Hold on. Okay, we're way back here. Okay, shit. Okay, here we go. No way. Public defenders are on strike, so they have to throw. No way. Yeah, Doug. Yeah, for sure. Yes, they have. And hey, let's not just pick on the mob here. Cartels, huge rats. Yeah, they did. They screwed him out of. Yes, this was about money. And look, they even came to him and tried to say, okay, we'll give you like a little bit, blah blah blah. You know, and at one point, Benny was willing to compromise for less. That's true, because he needed the money. You know, he just got out. Oh, speaking of Jimmy Wizard, so there's going to be a video. I'm going to use the video. Did you see what Jeff Nadeau did? Somebody sent it to me, and it's going to be great fun. He had like 7 years, I think, in the feds. I don't know his Benny's release date, Doug, but it's on the BOP.gov. I can find out. Rob, let me know, man. And why don't you can call like when I'm done here for real, because I will be up. It is 1:30. I'll be up probably till at least 4. Yeah, I will. They're scared to death. That's a fact. Anyone that is or was out there, fact, scared to death of Benny. I'm going to play something else, a couple of clips. It's going to take me a second to get to the right one. Okay, the kid is a live wire. They're so scared to do with these. Imagine what kind of talent pool they have now. It's criminal as shit. Funny. When Benny gets out there, when Benny gets out there, if you guys, you know who they are. Better pack you. Yeah. Okay, Wizard. Oh, Rob, so he's going through the surgery. I mean, yeah, I got it. Oh, I hate that numb feeling. I hate that. Lidocaine, I think it was, or whatever. Wizard, yeah. All right, Cycle World. Thanks for this. Thanks, bro. And shout out back to you. All right. Coast to coast. Sure is definitely frame. Is Benny doing life? No. He's out in 7 years. He's doing time for after this all happened. Wrote his letter. Wrote his lawyer that letter. Doug, Korea is doing life because the feds put him there. Yes. The point I was making is, so I know Steve. I did 6 months with him. His son said I did a very short period of time with him. When you do 6 months with somebody, it's a long, long time, right? Okay. Well, so I didn't talk to his son. One time, real nice guy. I guess that I'm drama and what YouTube is bad about. So whatever is what I was told. I don't know, but I was told that. So yeah. So I did a lot of time. Actually, more than 6 months. Whatever. Spent every morning, every afternoon with him, watching TV and stuff. Know his case. Nobody can talk about his case better than his son. Okay. Question for Dominic Crea. Question. I know that he is involved in helping get guys out of prison that were screwed. Why not help Benny? Why not help Benny Geritano, I wonder? Because he got in a fight with one of his dad's friends, which was Jimmy Ida. Dad likes him a lot. He talked highly about Jimmy Ida. Steve Crea did. But if they're looking for cases to help people out, kind of like, so from what I understand, Dominic Crea is kind of like the Innocence Project for mob guys, I think, or something like that. And I could be totally wrong. Why not help Benny? That fight with Jimmy Ida was actually Jimmy Ida's fault. 100%. 1,000%. So I don't know, maybe, whatever. But yeah, the feds did put him there. He had one witness that was a jailhouse rat say that he was told something by Steve. The lawyers originally had that witness was not able to testify. During the middle of trial, the prosecutors said they needed that witness and the judge allowed it, which is total BS. And because of that, he got life. I popped off, made a comment one time, and I think it was right after I found out, I heard that Dom said that about me or made some kind of comment. And I said, something to the fact, well, you live that life, you kind of, that's the hand you're dealt. It wasn't like that bad because I like Steve. But, and then I thought about what I just said. And it's true. Cops are supposed to play by the rules, so to speak. Yeah, that's BS, probably, whatever. But there's so many people in society that believe when people commit crimes that they should just be sat in a cell with no heat. They'd probably be happy with buckets to get your water in the morning in a bucket that you have to go to the bathroom in later. People would be like happy. How many people would like that of Brian Colbert, that he's tortured in prison? A lot, right? I don't. And it's because you can't pick and choose. It gets hard when you start, tricky when you start talking about sex offenders. Sex offenders are starting to be the majority in the feds. They will be. The clickers. And it sucks because it's hard to pick and choose class of prisoners, because as there's more sex offenders put into prison, people will want worse things to happen to prisoners, and the get tough the prison punishment stuff is it doesn't work if you look at recidivism rates. It should really be all about recidivism rates. That's how they should base what happens to people in prison. Rob, I think you might have been a little bit of a hard line. So I have said to officers before that you treat me better than I would treat you. You know, I have been told before that if I was in a correctional officer position, that I'd probably be hard. And there could be truth to it because I know all the stuff. I don't know. But I guess my point, and I should go back, is just that society doesn't care about rights when it comes to people accused. They don't. Nobody does. Nobody has sympathy for it, really. That's just the way it is. You have to get a fair trial. Yeah, okay. Wizard, I don't know if they will in the end. It sounds good. There's always these buildups. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And I'm not happy at all about the Epstein stuff when it comes to Trump. I know that if people don't think that Trump was involved with Epstein, you're fooling yourself. Do I think that he was with the underage girl stuff? I don't think so, because it would have already came out. You think that the Democrats would have sat on that? No way. So even TMZ Harvey guy, which I've been watching more of lately because they actually put out some pretty good breaking news. But even he says, who's not a fan of Trump, that there's really nothing there. He criticized CNN for posting the photos. So CNN just put out photos of them. Like they just got new evidence. It's all bullshit. Brady violation, 100%. I'm trying to get Benny out. I just want to give Benny a platform. However, he's sending documents, and I might start doing some more stuff. It's a lot of it's content related. I'm not going to lie, but he's really got some really good points. I was off cam because I went and got ice cream. And then I got off cam because I'll tell you the truth, when I'm listening, so my TV's right here, okay? So I got a big screen TV right there. It's in the corner. It's really big. And then I watch myself, and then sometimes I catch myself, and I don't want to watch myself. It's not like I'm trying to watch myself, but I want to see if like the camera fails, the sound, whatever, you know what I mean? Or if it freezes up. That's how originally it just helps. So that's why I did off cam. Well, the last time I went and I just bought this tonight too. It's right here. I'll finish it tonight. I knew what I was doing when I got it. I knew exactly what I was doing at 2 minutes to 10 right before Dollar General closed. I did. And I told them that. They were mad because I came in late. I have a habit of doing that. Not just for ice cream. I haven't been going hard on sweets really. Yep. Chicky's family, huh? Wizard. My mob guys say to me the mob's over. Even the bosses are flipping now. Benny made a good point though. How come there's no bosses in prison? I mean, there's a few, but with the RICO statute, they can lock them up all day long. They can wipe out the mob. They really could. And to a bigger point, why aren't they labeled as domestic terrorists? Yes, they don't really affect much of the country. I think one time they did. You got to give it to them. Back in the day, there's never been anything like that, really. I don't think. You got to give it to them for that. I mean, if you're just looking at the whole big picture. But I believe they were always rats going on. I mean, that's like the beginning of time. But I do. What trips me out the most, from an outsider looking in, that means an outside of New York. And really, when I think of the mob, I always think of five families, okay? And that's kind of wrong too, especially since I know something's flourishing way outside of that area. But you do always think of five families, right? Or I do. And it trips me out because they had no impact on my life whatsoever when I was growing up. Never talked about them, thought about them, nothing. And then you go to prison and they're just people. You find out later this person did that, or there's a book about that person. Like, okay, but they're just people. But they're not. They're not what other people in society think. Look, if you're in the mafia, your man card doesn't stop when you go to prison. Let me repeat. If you're in the mafia, your man card should not end when you go to prison. And it seems like over and over again, when the mob guys are processed in, they take their man card. It does. It does. And now I can play the devil's advocate and say what I've said all along. I started doing that when I was friends with Angel, to look at both sides. And there was a good point to be made too. Most of them made their money already. They go to prison to get out, to get out as fast as they can. Model inmates. And there's really nothing wrong with being a model inmate. There's nothing wrong with being the guy in prison that nobody knows. It's actually a good thing, okay? But if you are a member of organized crime and then you go be a model inmate in prison and pay guys that look like me, I just use the bald head and goatee thing, or other guys, Boston guys, whatever, that doesn't mean shit. Is there, let me ask you this. When, I guess they don't have church like gangs, so when there's mob meetings, when the 5 family members sitting down, do they all say, hey, Guido, hey, pass the sugu. It's okay when we go to prison, I'm doing the Godfather, right, to lose our man card, huh? You know, is that what they do? Because they do. Most. Also, the chinny chin chin. What's up, Desert? Yeah. Chinny chin chin. He was sent on a hit. What was it to, what's his name? And missed, didn't do it. Back in the day, they would whack. They gave him a pass because the boss liked him or something. And I get criticized so much when I tell the truth about the chin having Carl the manservant wipe his bottom in prison. Carl the manservant was a convicted chomo that was a homosexual. And they're like, and then he got extorted by one of my bros. And no, he didn't. You don't know who Chin. Yeah, I know who Chin was. He was the guy that missed. He was like Gene before. He was Gene Barillo before Gene Barillo, right? I mean, I guess, right? When you're getting sent to just ask, did anybody threaten you to take this plea? I'm going to. Yeah, okay. Stamp, I think, is still alive. Man, let me tell you something. Arkansas is a really, really good state. Forget the country. Forget the town that I'm at. Okay? Which is good and bad. Okay? It's good and bad. There's nothing really down here. If you have a home and 2 people can make up a home, actually 1 person can make up a home, I'm realizing, but if 2 people can make up a home, it doesn't matter what the town's really like, right? But if those 2 people aren't doing right, then or then things look bad. But again, so I've been down in this town since I was born. Every summer we came, and my dad was born and raised here, and we spent a couple weeks out of the summer, 2-3 weeks, then we'd go home and go to San Francisco for a few weeks, where my mom was from. So I'm familiar with this place. There is a feeling down here, if you come and drive in, it's like, wow, the mountains, it's beautiful. Then you look at all the houses are like dilapidating, a lot of them. Then you got a really nice house with somebody lives in a half a trailer next door that's been up for like 7 days. And you're just like, wow, I can't live down here. And then there's only a Dollar General. And there's, it's not for everybody, but it's, this is really cheap. But let me get back. Arkansas, the state, people don't, they just think of hillbillies, incest, or whatever. The Waltons own it, especially northwestern corner. J.B. Hunt, big players have big money in Arkansas. When Clinton was president, he paved all the roads. I know you can say he didn't. There was contracts. Everybody worked back here when Clinton was president. They loved him, by the way. He had roads put in where people didn't want them in the backwoods, just for job creation. But the state is, it's the cost of living is affordable. You can Google it. The land that we have compared to people, it's really a beautiful state. Yeah, it's a great state. Even so if you don't like the country and you go to Fort Smith, is a very, very laid back town. You get up to Fayetteville and Bentonville, which is above that, you get into the money. They're more starting to turn into like a little California after COVID. Property value almost doubled during COVID because people are trying to get in the country. There's beautiful lakes, a lot of water, a lot of lakes. But then you got other parts of the state that look like Mississippi flatland, marshy, crocodiles or alligators, whatever. I don't like that part of the state whatsoever. Flatlands, rice paddies, whatever, cotton fields. But there's, you got flat down at the bottom and you got mountains and hills. Yeah, it's a good state, man. It's a really, really good state. Oh, I have reoccurring bladder cancer, transitional cell carcinoma, grade 1, grade 2, superficial, except there have been some tumors non-superficial, which means it entered my bladder line. So it stays in my bladder lining, but it's crossed into the muscle, but the tumor was non-cancerous. Did you catch that? That's what it came out. Just to have it flip out, yeah. Yeah, Chicky. You like Chicky? Hey, Rob, I didn't dislike Chicky. I just remember, so in my mind, so look, Rob, the perfect example, I think you lived with them in A Block for a while, right? It's about, I always say that two different people, they can be Sallys together, right? I can be in one walk of life, gang member, druggie, whatever, and you can be a Unicor guy who doesn't do any of that, just wants to work at Unicor, has a program after Unicor and leaves, whatever. And we can have two different realities of what's going on. When it comes to Chicky, what I remember about Chicky is him being a total nutcase that was just, his whole existence was that washer and dryer in the rec department. That's what I remember. Okay? Because every single time that I saw that man, he was just freaking out about that washer and dryer. He guarded it with his life, They took the washer and dryers out. There was only a few spots that had them left, and the rec department was one, and Chicky ran the washer and dryer. And he was completely ate up and obsessed about it to the point to where it was like comedy, right? But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we pushed back. Yeah. No, Zip, hold on. If I did say Dom was a fanboy, I did not mean that whatsoever, okay? I didn't. I personally have never had nothing against Dom. I just need to make that clear. What I'm saying is this. I'm saying, and I didn't talk to him. Somebody contacted him, and it was basically about me coming on the show, him coming on the show because I did time with his father, okay? But I don't know what was said, and I don't know his feelings about that person or anything else. I just know what was kind of, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It was kind of like oh, I'll tell you what happened. It was right after I did the piece of the videos about Mikey, I Love My Wife, and Danny Fama about saying that they did junk. So I think that upset him. Okay, I think that upset him. Oh, I did see it. I did see something he wrote though. That basically I did a short amount of time with them or something with the father, and my first thought was, I might know him better than you, meaning you learn a person's habits and all that. But Dom does like a good thing with that. If you're pushing back against rats, I need to add. Okay, this is what I need to say, Dominic Crea. Again, man, I just got a guy that got out that was with Steve. Boy, I mean, he can really do a show about that. But if you're pushing back, if you are involved in the We Push Back movement, whatever, I don't know what's still going on with that, to be honest. A lot of them got upset with me after I said that Danny and Mike yelled at my wife did jump. Okay, I get it. And I like both of them. I like both of them. I didn't know how spot on I was. I didn't know what was going on out there. Boy, I hit the beehive and the nail on the head for real. If you are in the We Push Back movement, how can you not? Or if you have a channel like his that does, you know what? Let me say something about Dom's channel. I've never, ever watched it. I remember talking to him because I watched it for a little while, that little avatar or whatever. I thought it was classic, And when I got out, I did go and watch the channel. I was trying to figure out to do a piece about Steve, his father, and I realized it's already been done, because I know what people want to hear is what went on in prison and what they're like in prison. And the conversation I had with Steve, he knew about my YouTube channel. I don't know what his kid was telling him. I have no idea. But I know that he knew, and he asked me personally not to talk about or discuss his things. He said that right off the rip. And really I was thinking like, well, yeah, I know some things that people would like to know. And I told him that I wouldn't. It's not, there's some things that are noteworthy about the Italian club and what he thought about Colombo getting killed. There's a couple things that would be noteworthy, but in general, so anyway, but somebody asked him to be on my show and he shot back and said something about, I knew him that irked me. I was in one of those moods though. So I woke up, it depends on who I wake up. Okay. Wake up at different moods, different people, whatever you want to say. I was irked by that little comment. I remember being irked, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And Dominic, yes, I think he dedicated a lot of his life to helping his father get out. Probably a moot point based on what I saw, what the judge said, which sucks because your father's in prison like that and you've got cancer and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, and you guys might know and be able to put it out here. Does he do other people besides his father? Meaning talk about other cases. And if he does, why aren't you jumping on Benny? I'm asking Dom and everybody who hates rats and pushes back, why aren't you guys helping Benny then? People say, well, he's guilty, so what? I have somebody that says, I was there and saw it. Doesn't matter. That's not how it works. When it comes to the Constitution and your trial rights and all that, that's not how it works. So I don't know, whatever. But I've got Benny, so we'll see. I just know something. Okay. Tommy Stiggs, not sure. Fanboy. Okay. All right, Zip. Roy, hold on now. Very good. And I have something to say back. Epstein is a red herring to turn the public against Trump. Roy, Epstein is what the Democrats are using now because they know that the Trumpsters, a lot of them, the MAGA movement, wants to see Epstein stuff. They didn't start it. They were hush hush about it and paid little attention to it before Trump. But Trump has handled that totally wrong, or all his people did. He got Dan Bongino in there, Cash, who were the biggest, most outspoken two voices on right-wing media, if you want to call it that. And now they're like, nothing to see here, BS. I have said that. I don't believe he unalived himself. I've said that. I've seen something else about the minute being missing. Would a minute really work to do all that? Really? Okay, maybe. But my whole point was that there's no way that someone wouldn't talk at some point. Do you know how hard it is to have somebody go into a cell and whack somebody? I heard people say there's nobody on that range. It's quiet, this and that. There's guards there's people that would be in the know, even if they were paid off at some point. There's no way that I believe somebody wouldn't know. Okay, that's my belief, and I've been wrong many times in my life. But I'm now more interested in the Epstein because of Trump's reaction. And because I watched Pam Bondi come out and say the list is on my desk, she's since spun that a little bit. And then, more to the point, the biggest thing of all, watching the White House press secretary, who is always just boom, boom, boom. When that press conference happened the next day, she looked stupid. She looked stupid. She really did. And then Trump saying that, why should people care? What do you mean, why should people care? Because Americans, because we're all dumb. And we live in a celebrity culture, and the Epstein stuff means more to people than the prices of gas, if China's rising or whatever, because we're idiots, whatever. But now you've got my interest. Like, I want to know more, and I want to know why you have that reaction. It makes you look like you're hiding something. And again, I do not believe for 1 second that Donald Trump was late with like an underage girl or something, because they would have used it against him. And then you go out and say, okay, he's ordered the Justice Department to go ahead and release stuff. Well, that's not where it's at. That's not where you're going to find everything. You're going to file it. You're going to find it in the civil lawsuits in the courts. That's where you'll find that. Judges put gag orders. They play the public like a cheap fiddle, because it's in different departments that people aren't asking questions about. So the whole idea of the Trump transparency is just not true, I don't think. And I'm not talking about that there's as smoke and mirrors as like the Obama administration and Clinton's and stuff like that. I'm not saying that. But let's say, for example, this. Okay, let's just use this for 1 second. Let's say, because Netanyahu was there the day before, he came out and said, no, nothing to see here. Let's say that there was some Israeli spy stuff surrounding Epstein. Okay? And I heard this, it's not that he was a spy. I don't know if, what's her name, Maxwell. There was something to do with some Israeli stuff or whatever. Let's just pretend that happened. And Netanyahu goes to Trump and says, hey, we can't have this out. Let's just, again, dream. And in exchange, we'll do this or that. You think that, and it was, let's say it was about national security, whatever. You don't think Trump's above that? The guy who ran Trump University? Look, man, let's not pretend that Trump didn't get to the position he's in because he wasn't a great con man. Don't pretend for a second that he's not. What's good about Trump is he's off the cuff. He's not a politician, and he's a very successful guy who, by the way, used illegal aliens at his place even not long ago. That's the truth. They got around that and gave them all bonuses. There was somebody at the hospital that worked there. People would say, BS, how do you know you didn't see this or that? Because he knew too much. But he'd been caught using illegal aliens before, But look at the good he's done. So I don't care about all that. I don't care that a person can just say, oh, today I'm a lawyer, or today I'm this, and then just become. In America, you can become what you say you are if you put in the work to do it. You know what I mean? I'm way off now. Shit, I'm getting dingier and shit. 2 o'clock. So I had dogs. I've been dog sitting, and I brought them home. And the oldest dog was like 11. They're little dogs. I did a short about it. That little gizmo, oh my God, Pomeranian, looks like a little lion, a little hyena. It just depends what he looks like. That dog threw a freaking fit. So I kept them a couple days. When I first brought them, they were fine. They were even like, this is a slumber party. Yay. I was on my live that night when the one started barking. And then I fed him too late and let him drink water too late. And that dog had to get up, the oldest one, like every hour. And it'll bark. Okay, wake up. But that little gizmo, the next day I opened the door to let them outside. They were fine. I got a big yard. They loved it. The owner does too, by the way. Just has a bunch of clutter. The dog went right to my car and sat at the door, like, okay, ready to go now. And when I went to go get him, he growled and ran under the car. And when I went around, he just marched off towards their house in that direction. And he was so mad that I got him back in. He spun around. My curtains, the way I have them in the front room, I fixed it up. I got them tied so they don't drag on the ground. He would have grabbed the curtains, ripped them off. I watched him. I pretend that I left, and I kind of peeked back. He spun around the room. He was tossing food everywhere. And I said, Gizmo, what are you doing? He turned and looked at me and just went, and shit. That dog was so mad. I put him in the hole for a little while in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. He's all day long. He pouted most of the day. At nighttime, he was fine. And then last night, I slept with them in the bed. Their owner does, and made me promise that I would. They're like spoiled, but kept me up for like ever. So I haven't had more than probably 2 hours full sleep, and this is the third night or something like that. And I do got to do a video here in a minute, and it is 2:00 in the morning. I'm getting ready to get off. Let me get a couple of these. The pics look like a phone. Last time I heard, okay, there is no mob at least anymore. Yesterday, they released a portion of a Jeffrey Epstein deposition, which is after Donald Trump was president, and he took the fifth. Oh, I saw that. I did see that. What's up, Georgie? Georgie Poolstick. So why can't Chad help? What's up, Mike? And Mike, I got that. I didn't watch it all yet. Sammy the Bull and AB. Wow. So, OG Mike, so tomorrow, Mike, man, this is one of those ticks. People get ticks. Do you remember Sarah Palin? She couldn't say Joe Biden. She said, oh, Biden. Mike and I talk. He's helped me before. One of the people that helped me when I was in the joint, post stuff. And I can never name your show all the way through. And that sucks. But it's like a tick, you know? So please put it at the bottom, Mike. At 5:00 tomorrow, is that East Coast time, Central time, whatever, Mike? You can put that at the bottom, please. He's got a short released about Sammy the Bull. And I'm going to do something, a video format of it. That's what I'm going to do before I go to bed, actually. Okay? So Petaluma, Greg, did you tell me this before? The maid of honor and the best man at my first wedding, the Bowlers, lived in Petaluma, and then he left his wife for the massage therapist, and they're actually very, very happy nowadays. Petaluma, that's where the three strikes law started, by the way. Polly Krause, Klaus, whatever. They did 3 strikes. It was supposed to be for sex offenders, but then of course, that's how everything starts. Then you got a guy with the pizza and a couple priors, and you got 2 prior drug convictions. That's what did it to me. There are people with accents. So you get down here, you can go. So in Fort Smith, you talk to people, no accents. You go 15 miles, the whole town's twanging. Y'all wrecking, fixing, you know. Funny story. Me and my ex-wife moved back here. We got here on Thanksgiving of 1991. Wow. I was like 22, she was 23. We had 2 kids. And moved back here because I was running from the law, running from a 4-year sentence. Like it was forever. My life would have been totally different had I stayed actually in California. But anyway, she is from New York, actually. Dowling, Irish girl. Grew up in California, went to New York in the summer times. She came back here and it was cool, you know, for about a month. Well, no, she liked it for a little. She liked it. She did. But I'll never forget going to Walmart. And this is when Walmart had real employees that cared. Now, nobody knows anything if they speak English. Hey, is there a laptop? What's a laptop? I don't know. Ask somebody. Walmart. Wow. Everybody's got Dollar General bodies too in Walmart. But anyway, there was a cash register. There was a girl. And I think, what was her name? Sharon. She was at the cash register and she said, hey Sharon, you got a pen on aisle 10? And Kathleen, my ex, looked at me and she just goes, oh my fucking God. There's no way I'm raising my daughter. She's never going to talk like that. And man, our kid came home from kindergarten and she said, Mama, I'm fixing the da-da-da-da. And she looked at it and she says, Alex, you ever say that again, I'll slap you. She was a little rough New Yorker kind of. She didn't have the whole New York accent vibe. She could, but man, that was so funny. So funny. Yeah. So not everybody twangs normal accent. So my accent can be, there's different things. I say okay weird, okay? It sounds kind of gay actually sometimes. One of my friends always says that. That's awesome, like a dude. Free Benny. I live in, thank you, Roy. I appreciate it. Okay, I live in rural AZ, but too many California transports are fleeing. I too from Cali, refugee, but been here 20 years. I may move to rural South. Oh, you live in rural? Okay. Hey, Roy. Desert Cards. I'm being serious. You really need to check the state out. Look at the property or the lack thereof of property taxes, the cost of living. In Fort Smith, if you want a McMansion, they're about $500,000. The same ones are like 2 million up just a couple, like an hour away. But they're building these big, and they're $500,000, 600,000. This less than 100. Well, if I'd put it on. Well, it totally depends. Because I could have sold that little tiny house that I had up there at my sister's, or whatever. I got 64 for it, but I had it. It was 129 all day. I had it up for 189 because there was some property. Went down to 129, jumped on it. It was an escrow, and I stopped escrow to get 64,000. So I go to the casino. Cash. That's what happened, really. I mean, it didn't happen like that, but it did. Thank God. I was going to say, who's the father, Rob? I hope it's okay. I'm not saying Trump's, I don't know about a guy. I think he's an awesome con artist, but I don't say that even in a bad way. Look, do you think Trump University was real, Roy? And Roy, I'm not trying to get it. I'm just saying, no, that was all a snow job. I also know of contractors from Chicago that were involved in real estate high rises. And they cringed when Trump would come to town because he would get one, or the projects he started, knowing he was going to file for bankruptcy. That's what he did. He would get a bunch of people's money, shareholders' money, and he would collapse it, take their money and redo it. That's what he did. That's how he made a lot of money in real estate, kind of like he did it, I think, in Atlantic. But whatever. Let's just say, remember Trump steaks, Trump wine. I mean, he did it. You know what I mean? He became president. And yes, I do think he does. He has really good policies. I think his heart is in the right place. I think that Obama was more of a dictator than Trump, but I do think that Trump's ego can get carried away. I think his policies and a lot of stuff are really good, but because he is where he's at now, it's like he just turned on some of the base and said F you with the Epstein stuff. It means too much to too many people, which says something too. It does. And you can blame Bongino. I don't even know if blame's the right word. I mean, do you guys listen to Dan Bongino? I did when I was in prison. He was Epstein the F out, man. So, yeah, anyway. But yeah, Roy, I think he's a good president. But I do think, I don't have like Democratic lenses when it comes to Trump, but I'm not. Okay, that's a good point. Anybody would be a total fool to be all in for any politician, or I mean, you can look at everything across the board. You kind of have to have, even when we get set in our ways, and we think we're right about stuff. You really should try to listen to the other person, what they're saying, such as Benny Geritano, okay? Because they might be spitting out truth. I'm criticized, junkie mofo, gang member, blah, 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 did this, did that, can't hold that. I mean, we can go on and on about me. When it comes to the stuff I'm saying, or the stuff, I mean, there's some things, but when it comes to what I'm actually saying about this or that, challenge me on it. You think that I won't admit when I'm wrong, especially on like YouTube, or if I'm putting out there? when I put content out, if somebody comes back and there's constructive criticism or points out a different point of view, I take it to heart. Even though I still spend too much time on the haters, although I'm getting better. Okay, yeah. I got you, Greg. I hear that. There's Mike's link. I'll leave that there. Actually, our pad was okay. Okay, cool horse farm. Okay, they ran every test but putting lipstick to see if I'm bulletproof. That was funny, Rob. I want to leave Mike's thing up there for a minute. That's why I'm not putting that up. Trump, yeah, you got Trump was talking about being a president a long time ago. Oh, so Rob, that's kind of a good point. I don't know. Okay, you said let me. Okay, Mike, I'm going to put that back for you. Trump has a good instinct, but the problem is he's too easy to manipulate. Too easy to manipulate. You know, Rob, it's not like I'm disagreeing with what you said. The one thing that I do really believe, and Democrats say this a lot, I do believe that like a king or a dictator, which in his first presidency, Saudi Arabia did well, you got to kiss the ring, and often. Remember, Ukraine president? Oh, say thank you. That was a little weird. I get why they did it, and I get that what's his name? Ukraine. I get he's being a kind of a douchebag, but I was like that did go a little bit crazy, in my opinion. I think that if you know him, okay, so he's a human. He's all about contacts. It's all about who you know. You praise him. Let's not even use praise. You thank him repeatedly, or you don't criticize him. I think that goes a long way. I do think that. I do. Okay. Anyway. Here we go. And you said this before too. Loma, he did. Okay, Mike, let me put this back up and I'm gonna jam and matter of fact, Mike, I'll call you if you want to call me, call me. If you have a phone, you're still living on a landline or whatever you're doing. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for being here. I think I got this down as far as the Benny stuff with this little tiny speaker. And now that my ice cream is melted at the bottom, I can just drink this. I'll do it off air. I hear you, but the thing that makes me think I think they're going to do Vance Rubio ticket, and it's going to be pretty good, pretty bulletproof. And the Dems don't have nothing right now. They just don't have anything. They just don't right now. That's what I think. Good night, bro. I'm from Napa. Okay, where's? Yes, there you go, bud. Yes, dude walked into the room of that girl. I've read, so I did a lot of research on the civil commitment law, and I really want to do a YouTube episode, but damn, it's going to suck because too many people, and it's not about the civil commitment. Clarence Thomas, if you guys ever care, the Adam Walsh Act, look at the dissent by Clarence Thomas. It was freaking fabulous. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get into that. All right. Let me put Mike's, I'm going to leave Mike's thing up here. Check out Mike's short tomorrow night. And like I said, I'm going to bounce off it. It's, he's the reason I'm going to do the video later. Sammy the Bull stuff. And I'm just going to run what he says and add on, come in and cut in. Yeah. Good night, you guys. Thank you. And I'm going to go back and listen a little bit now to see if the tapes are okay. Harry, Stevie Mad Dog. I've heard that you're going to watch this. Some people, I don't know if it's true. No, I haven't got that confirmed. Some people say that they watch this or listen to Benny and Stevie Mad Dog's social club in the mornings. I don't know if that's true. If it is, Mr. Mad Dog, don't be a Jimmy. Goodbye. Good night.